Welcome back and thanks for being here. I am Sarah, your narrator for today's story. This is Human Science Fiction Stories, imagined, written, and narrated by real people. No AI voices here, just human storytelling. If you enjoyed this kind of content, like, share, and let's begin. The Galactic Military Academy's Gauntlet of Certain Death had a reputation that preceded it across 17 star systems. It was whispered about in officer cantinas, referenced in cautionary tales at boot camps, and had a failure rate that would make insurance companies weep. Out of the 3,000 alien cadets who had attempted it in the past decade, exactly 42 had completed it. The rest had tapped out, been carried out, or in one memorable case involving a Glorbaxian cadet, had to be scraped out. So when Lieutenant Jake Peterson, the Academy's first human exchange officer, strolled into Commander Threll's office and casually asked if he could bring his 3-year-old daughter along to make the course fair, you could have heard a pin drop in the vacuum of space. Commander Threll, all 7 feet of scaled, battle scarred reptilian warrior, blinked his triple eyelids in sequence. I'm sorry, Lieutenant. Could you repeat that? Yeah, I was wondering if Emma could tag along during the gauntlet run tomorrow. Jake scratched his chin, completely oblivious to the four other instructors, who had suddenly stopped breathing. To even the odds of it, she's been cooped up in base housing all week, and honestly, your obstacle course sounds like a decent Saturday morning activity. Plus, she's been asking about the jungle gym situation here. Wunix, the Academy's administrative coordinator, and a being who resembled a very anxious stick insect, began frantically typing on his datapad. Lieutenant Peterson, I need to clarify. You want to bring a human juvenile, a toddler, to the gauntlet of certain death. Well, when you say it like that, it sounds bad, Jake said, grinning. She's 3, super energetic. Honestly, keeping up with her is harder than anything you've probably got planned. Thought it might balance things out. The instructors exchanged glances that, in any language, translated to, is this human insane? Or are we? Commander Thrill leaned back in his chair, which groaned under his massive frame. Lieutenant, perhaps you don't understand. The gauntlet has hospitalized warriors from species that hunt in lava flows. For sport? Right, right. Jake nodded seriously. But have you ever tried to give a toddler a bath when they don't want one? Because I'm just saying, that's its own kind of combat scenario. Commander Threll's scales rippled in what his species did when they found something either amusing or deeply insulting. In this case, probably both. Lieutenant Peterson, I appreciate your humor, but this is a military installation, not a daycare facility. Oh, I'm dead serious, Jake said, pulling out his data pad and showing a photo of a small human child with pigtails and what appeared to be marker all over her face. This is Emma. Yesterday, she figured out how to unlock the child safety containers, climbed on top of the refrigerator, and declared herself queen of the kitchen, all before breakfast. Your course has got to be easier than Tuesday afternoon at my place. Vunix's antenna twitched nervously. Commander, perhaps we should explain to the lieutenant exactly what the gauntlet entails. Crushing gravitational forces, extreme thermal variations, toxic environments, automated defense systems designed to simulate actual combat scenarios. Yeah, sounds like a trip to Earth, honestly, Jake shrugged. Look, I get it. You guys have built this legendary impossible course. Very impressive. But humans? We evolved on a planet that actively tried to kill us every single day. Weather that could freeze or cook you within hours. Predators with actual venom and claws. Other humans, which honestly were the worst part. And don't even get me started on Australian wildlife. A 3-year-old human has survival instincts you people couldn't train into a soldier. The room fell silent. Commander Threll's combat computer brain was trying to process whether this was the most arrogant thing he'd ever heard or if there was something fundamentally terrifying about humans that the galaxy had missed. She's 3 years old, Threll repeated slowly. Yep, just learned to climb furniture last month. Before that, she could only scale walls up to about 6 feet. She climbs walls. I mean, don't all kids? Jake looked genuinely confused. After 17 minutes of heated debate among the Academy board, which Jake spent casually scrolling through more photos of Emma covered in various substances, they reached a decision. They would allow it. After all, the human would learn a valuable lesson about respecting the galaxy's premier military training, and it would be captured on recording for future educational purposes about hubris. In the cadet barracks, betting pools formed immediately. The average predicted survival time for Lieutenant Peterson was 43 seconds. Nobody bet on him finishing. One optimistic Zintari cadet put 5 credits on makes it past the first obstacle before requesting medical evacuation. Commander Threll watched the betting boards with grim satisfaction. Tomorrow, the human would learn respect. The next morning, Jake showed up to the gauntlet staging area in standard PT gear, carrying Emma on his shoulders. She wore tiny pink sneakers and was clutching a stuffed dinosaur named Mr. Chomps. Ready when you are, Jake said cheerfully. Commander Threll stood before the course entrance, arms crossed. Behind him, the gauntlet stretched into the distance like a fever dream designed by sadistic engineers. Lieutenant Peterson, last chance to reconsider. Nah, we're good. Emma, say hi to the nice alien commander. Hi, Emma waved. Is that a playground? Threll's expression suggested he was reconsidering his entire career. Begin. The first obstacle was the gravity maelstrom, a 100-meter corridor where gravitational fields shifted randomly from 0 to 5 times standard. Alien cadets had described it as being inside a washing machine filled with anvils. The current class record holder, a cruel mite built like a boulder with legs, had taken 9 minutes to crawl through it. Jake stepped in, Emma still on his shoulders. The gravity shifted to triple strength. Jake's knees bent slightly. Huh, bit heavier. Emma squealed with delight. Daddy, I'm bouncy. Zero gravity kicked in. They floated upward. Emma spread her arms. I'm flying! Like at the pool! Jake casually pushed off a wall, sailing toward the exit, while Emma giggled and pretended Mr. Chomps was swimming through space. Time elapsed 45 seconds. Thrill stared at the monitors. Impossible. The cruel mite took 9 minutes. Sir, Wunix whispered, his voice shaking. The human's heart rate is 68 beats per minute. That's resting level for their species. Next came the thermal gauntlet, a zigzagging path through chambers that alternated between sub zero temperatures and scorching heat. The kind of temperature swings that would crack most metals. Jake jogged through, barely breaking stride. Emma pointed at the frost forming on the walls. Daddy, it's like the freezer. They hit the heat section, 200 degrees Celsius. Okay, now it's warm, Jake admitted, wiping his forehead. Emma frowned. Not even hot like Arizona. Yeah, remember Grandma's house last July? Way worse than this. Through the monitors, they could see 3 alien cadets who'd started the course simultaneously. 2 had already tapped out. The third, a veteran soldier from a species that literally breathed methane, was struggling through the gravity maelstrom, face contorted in agony. Jake Peterson was eating a protein bar with one hand, steadying Emma with the other, and looked like he was on a casual morning stroll. Commander Threll's tactical computer pinged with a notification. Human vital signs indicate subject is experiencing mild boredom. This can't be happening. Thrall muttered. Oh, but it was. The Poison Garden was next, a section the Academy was particularly proud of. 73 species of toxic flora from the galaxy's most hostile worlds, all crammed into a botanical nightmare. The air itself was a cocktail of compounds that could paralyze, hallucinate, or liquefy most carbon based life forms. Jake pulled out a small respirator for Emma. Okay, kiddo, mask on. And no touching the pretty plants. But, Daddy, they're so colorful. Yeah, that's how they get you. Same talk we had about the cleaning supplies under the sink, remember? Emma pouted but kept her hands to herself, mostly. She did try to pet something that looked like a purple fern but retracted tentacles when approached. Jake caught her hand just in time. Emma, what did we say? Look with eyes, not with hands, she recited, rolling her eyes with the exasperation only a toddler could muster. Through the monitors, Wunix was updating casualty reports. Commander, we're down to one cadet still active besides Peterson. The crew might just requested evacuation. Says the toxins are affecting his respiratory system. The human? Complaining that his daughter might need a snack soon. The zero gravity combat zone was where things got interesting. Automated defense drones, designed to simulate actual combat conditions, filled the weightless arena. They fired low intensity stun rounds that felt like getting kicked by a Thrantian war beast. Jake pushed off into the zone, Emma shrieking with joy. A drone swooped toward them. Emma, thinking it looked fun, reached out and grabbed it mid flight. The drone's gyroscope couldn't compensate for a 3-year-old's chaotic movements. It spun wildly before crashing into two others. Emma, honey, don't break the nice robots, but they're fun. Jake sighed, navigating through the remaining drones, while his daughter systematically disabled the defense grid by treating it like monkey bars. 3 drones down. The combat AI was frantically recalculating because toddler interference wasn't in its threat assessment protocols. Daddy, I'm hungry. I packed goldfish crackers, 5 more minutes, then we'll have snack time. Commander Thrill's claws scraped against his desk. He's negotiating snack time. In the middle of my gauntlet, Wunix pulled up Earth's environmental data, his antennae vibrating with anxiety. Sir, I've been researching. Humans didn't evolve on a garden world. Earth has weather systems that can level cities, tectonic activity, radiation exposure from their own star, predators with neurotoxins. Their children learn to survive this before they can properly form sentences. On screen, Jake found a safe platform and pulled out a juice box and a baggie of crackers. Emma munched happily, swinging her legs over a chasm that had made a Zentari warrior weep. The last remaining alien cadet tapped out. The medic team rushed to assist. Jake and Emma were the only ones left in the course, and they were having a picnic. The Abyss Run was Commander Threll's masterpiece. A narrow beam suspended over a bottomless chasm, flanked by moving platforms that shifted unpredictably, all while a laser grid swept through the space in random patterns. It was designed to break not just the body, but the spirit. Elite warriors had frozen in terror just looking at it. Jake stood at the entrance, Emma finishing her juice box. Okay, Emma, last part, stay close to Daddy. Emma looked at the obstacle course, then back at Jake with profound disappointment. Daddy, it's like the playground at home, but boring. I know, sweetie. We'll find a better one next time. Can I walk by myself? Jake hesitated. The beam was barely 2 feet wide. The platforms moved erratically. The lasers could stun an adult, but he'd also seen Emma navigate the back of the living room couch while holding a cup of juice and singing the alphabet. So, honestly, this wasn't much different. Okay, But hold Mr. Chomps tight and watch your step. Emma toddled onto the beam like it was a sidewalk, humming a song from her favorite cartoon. A platform shifted beneath her. She adjusted without thinking, the same way she'd learned to balance on furniture that definitely wasn't meant to be climbed. A laser grid swept toward her. Jake tensed. Emma did a cartwheel, not because she was dodging. She just felt like doing a cartwheel. The fact that it happened to perfectly time with the laser pattern was entirely coincidental. She was 3. Balance and self preservation instincts were still calibrating, which somehow made her movements completely unpredictable to the automated systems. In the control room, alarms blared. The combat computer was having an existential crisis trying to track her movement patterns. Sir, the defense grid can't establish a targeting solution on the small human, Wunix reported, his voice climbing an octave. She's moving in ways that defy tactical logic. That's because she's not using tactics, Threll said hollowly. She's just doing whatever she wants. Emma reached the final platform, turned around, and waved. Daddy, come on! You're slow. Jake jogged across, barely paying attention to the obstacles that had traumatized cadets for years. Final time 23 minutes, 17 seconds. The previous record was 4 hours and 12 minutes, set by a Zentari Special Forces operator who trained for 6 months specifically for this course. Emma tugged on Jake's pant leg. Can we do it again? Commander Threll's roar of anguish echoed through the entire academy complex. The Academy Board convened an emergency session within the hour. Commander Threll sat at the head of the table, staring at nothing, his scales having lost their usual vibrant color. He looked like a warrior who'd seen the heat death of the universe and found it preferable to what he'd just witnessed. Explain, he said flatly. Explain to me what death world humans evolved on that makes our premier military training facility equivalent to a casual Saturday activity. Jake, sitting comfortably with Emma coloring on a datapad in his lap, pulled up Earth on the holographic display. Well, Commander, let's see. Earth has weather systems that regularly spawn tornadoes, hurricanes, and blizzards. We've got tectonic plates that shift without warning, radiation from our sun that causes cancer, volcanoes, tsunamis, predators with venom that can kill you in minutes, other humans, which historically have been our most persistent threat. Oh, and Australia, which is essentially a continent sized experiment in what if everything tried to murder you. Vunix's antennae drooped. And human children survive this? Well, yeah. Emma's made it 3 years so far. Jake ruffled his daughter's hair. Kids her age are learning to identify dangerous animals, avoid poisonous plants, and understand that weather can kill you. It's basically standard curriculum. Your toddlers have survival training, Threll said. Not quite a question. I mean, we call it parenting, but sure. Emma held up her drawing. It appeared to be the gauntlet, rendered in purple crayon. Daddy, can we go to the better playground tomorrow? The Academy Board exchanged looks of profound existential dread. We need to recalibrate everything, Vunix muttered, already typing frantically. The difficulty ratings, the training protocols, the entire assessment matrix. Humans can't be used as a baseline for anything. Commander Threll stood, walked to the window overlooking the gauntlet of certain death, and made a decision. Vunix, create a new difficulty classification. Sir, human proof, the highest rating possible. If a human child can complete it while asking for snacks, it's not difficult enough. 3 months later, the Academy unveiled their new human proof gauntlet. It lasted exactly 2 weeks before a human marine brought her 5-year-old son for career day.